Welcome to our channel. If you haven't done it already, please subscribe.
Tom and Jerry, now museum, now you don't. The shiny brass sign that hung above Tom's bed said 348 days without a mouse. Every morning he polished it, and every night, right before he went to bed, Tom would change the number. For this was the world's most mouse-free museum, and so it would stay. This watch cat took pride in his work. Jerry was returning from almost a year's journey around the world. He had ridden in a tiny chair underneath the seats in an airplane, traveled by train through the mountains, and driven around in taxis in all the big cities. He was the best traveled mouse in the world. Why, just look at his suitcase. Now he was back to his home in the museum. Well, he thought, they must have missed me terribly to install such a splendid plaque as this one. Jerry felt very welcomed. He stepped up and began to polish the brass plaque. I wonder what this month's exhibit is, he asked himself. Not Jerry. He ran and slid down the waxed corridor. Tom tried running after him, but only stayed in one place the faster he ran. He finally got so tired that he decided to creep in kitty cat fashion. Then he reached the mummy room. He guessed Jerry was hiding there, so he crept in, oh so slowly. Boo! A hideous face appeared from nowhere. Ah! The cat leaped as high as he could and grabbed the ceiling fan. Jerry switched it on. Tom swung wildly, his legs knocking over mummy cases 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 12, 20. They clattered and fell. Then Tom crashed into the biggest one. Tom's angry eyes danced with joy at the thought of 349 days without a mouse. He sprang into the next room, but no Jerry. All he found was a tiny, scribbled in red sign reading, "Pull this lever." Tom's curiosity got the better of him. He's a cat. He knew he shouldn't do it. Everything in him said not to do it, but he pulled the lever anyway. He heard a rumble and looked up to see, shelf upon shelf, floor to ceiling, an exhibit called 1,000 Years of Cannonballs suddenly thundering down toward him. He'd pulled the release lever. Tom was fast, but rolling cannonballs are faster. Jerry stood by holding a red crayon, counting the number of clangs. The cannonballs swept through an exhibit of statues, running into everything. Tom rode them like a circus acrobat, a clumsy one, scared half to death. Faster, he headed for the window, grabbing left and right for something to slow him down. What could possibly keep him from rolling right out the window? A stairway, that's what! Tom rode the cannonball waterfall over the edge. Crash! When the stars around his head cleared, he was sitting in a darkened room. He couldn't see a thing. Then he heard it. Grrr. Something growled like a very big dog. Uh-oh. Then a cow mooed. In a museum? A tiger went roar. He couldn't believe his ears. Tom turned on the lights. Where were they? Thunder clapped, and the lights blinked. He heard a wolf go, "Oh!" Whistling bombs went boom. Explosions, stampeding elephants, ringing telephones. Then the lights came on, and there stood Jerry, laughing. They were in a sound effects exhibit. Tom was mad. He felt his temperature rise like mercury in a thermometer. Steam rose off the top of his head. Then his ears buzzed, which only added to his bad mood. He shook his head, but the buzz only got louder. Then zoom! Something went by fast. Then swoop! Something else. Whizzip! He was being dive-bombed by a fleet of toy aeroplanes. And Jerry was leading the attack, bombing Tom with a water balloon. Tom grabbed the Y from the Power Toy sign and put a rubber band across the top of it. He took a light bulb and launched it with his homemade catapult. Pop! A direct hit. The little dive bomber spun out of control and bounced into the wall. Crack! Pow! Down it went. He fired off 2 more, but Jerry was a clever little mouse. After all the other planes had fallen, Jerry was still in the air, dipping and dodging and bombarding Tom with marbles. Youch! Ow! Eek! Tom grabbed a helmet from the virtual world exhibit, put it on, and fastened it tight. Now he was protected. He turned to face Jerry, but without warning, everything took on an eerie glow. Instead of the little pesky mouse, he faced a legion of knights! Charge! Arrows whistled, voices shouted, and horse hooves thundered. Tom tried to pull off the helmet, but he'd put it on too tightly. Uh-oh, he thought again. He was in the middle of a program called Virtual Battle, and to make it worse, his side was losing. Jerry worked the remote control to speed up the action. He changed the program to virtual auto racing. Tom ran even faster in little circles. Jerry pressed virtual rodeo, and Tom bucked and bounced around the room. Then Jerry tried virtual outer space. Tom started moving more slowly. His hands went up in the air. He stood on his tiptoes. Then he began to float. Jerry walked over and opened the window, and Tom, still in the helmet, floated outside, higher and higher toward the full moon. Jerry took a matchbox and made a bed and prepared to go to sleep. It had been a long day. But first, he had a brand new brass plaque to polish.
Thank you for watching our videos. If you haven't done it already, please subscribe. Here are some videos we thought you might like.